You know, most 1911s are pretty much the same. There's not a whole lot of difference between them. In fact, even when you look at $700 1911s versus, $3,000 1911s, the differences are usually small. You're usually paying for small upgrades. But the overall performance, appearance, etc. remains very similar once you get into the level where you have a decent gun. But even though most 1911s are pretty similar, there are differences. There are things that separate one type of 1911 from another. Like whether they're Series 70, whether they're Series 80, whether they have a full-length guide rod, a GI guide rod, etc. Now, I usually get questions about revolvers, but since people know I've been carrying a 1911 lately, I've been getting a lot of 1911 questions. In a previous video, I stated how I really don't care about whether it's a full-length guide rod or a GI guide rod. I like them both. I like different things about each one of them. So I really don't care. When a 1911 is in front of me and I like it, I don't care if it has the short guide rod, the long guide rod, whatsoever. I'm not a size queen when it comes to guide rods. I mean, I do have a preference for the full-length rods, but I'll take either in a pinch. I just don't think it makes that much of a difference. But another topic that someone actually asked me about it during a chat the other day was AMBI-SAFETYs and whether I thought all 1911s should have AMBI-SAFETYs, or are AMBI-SAFETYs just for, wrong-handed people, those little freaks of nature, God's little mistakes? Well, to answer that question, I actually think that 1911s should all have AMBI-SAFETYs. There's actually a couple of different reasons why I think that, and I'll get more in-depth into that here in a few minutes. First, I'm actually going to make a change to this gun. As you can see, it does not have an AMBI-SAFETY. I'm going to add an AMBI-SAFETY to this one just to show people how easy it is to actually do. And once we get it on there, well then I'll tell you what I like about the AMBI-SAFETYs over a gun that does not have an AMBI-SAFETY. So first thing we're about to do is tear this gun down. Now this 1911 is 10 millimeters, so the spring's a little heavy on it. So it's a little harder to keep it racked back while you're taking out the pin here, but still easy to do. Now this one actually does have a full-length guide rod, so you don't have to worry about it coming out of there when you take the slide off. But other than that, like I said, don't really care one way or the other, but I do like the full-length guide rods. Now to switch out the safety, I'm going to have to take out the mainspring housing. That's really not a big deal though, because I want to change this out anyway. This has a lanyard loop on it built into it there. And since I don't plan on riding horseback with an open holster anytime soon, carrying my 1911, I don't really need that lanyard loop. So I'm going to put a new mainspring housing on this that actually has a magwell to it, because we all know I like magwells. So I'm going to put another one of those on this one. Now I've got this one here from, I think it's like KGW, I forget the name of the company. I bought this off of eBay. Now before I actually put this mainspring housing on, I want to make a change to it because I actually switched out to a stainless bushing up here so that it would match the stainless barrel and the stainless spring plug here. And it's got that nice silver look on the aluminum trigger here that gives you that matte silver look. And it's got, of course, the two-tone hammer here. So I want to add a little more of a silver feature to it. So what I'm thinking of doing is bead blasting this bottom part here. And then I'll put it back on here. These come apart. There's just a screw that holds them together. I'll bead blast this bottom part, make it a bare stainless, and then I'll put it back together, put it on the gun, and we'll have one more little silver element down here on the bottom. Okay, I took it outside and purdied it up. So now I just need to set it aside until I need it again. It's the black in the back here and the silver on the bottom now. I think it'll look good on the gun. So like I said, let's just put this aside and get busy changing that safety. Okay, now another reason I'm actually changing this out other than just liking AMBI-SAFETYs is I need this hammer pin here, this standard hammer pin for another video, which you've probably already seen by the time you see this video, but I need this for something else, so I'll put this aside here. And the one I'm going to put back in its place is this one here that has that little nub on the end of it there. It's got that little slot cut around the outer edge of it right there, and you'll see why I'm switching to this one here in just a moment. Let's get everything back in place now. Let's take the guts out of the old one here. And now let's put them in the new one. Press it down and put the little pin back in there. Now let's put the new mainspring housing here in the gun part way, not quite all the way. Just get it up where it's just lined up right with the plunger from the hammer here. Now let's push it down and put the mainspring pin back in there. Okay, here's where the application gets slightly different. If you see that little nub sticking out there, the one I showed you on the hammer pin earlier, we have to hook the actual AMBI-SAFETY safety onto that little nub. The safety itself's got a little slot right there. It just kind of goes up on top of it and slides down over that nub, and that's what holds it on instead of that wing that would go under the grip. Now it's important to put this side on first. You just put it in there and then you rotate it 180 degrees and it's in place. And now you just put the other side on just like you normally would any other safety. Now let's put the slide back on the gun. Okay, now I've got one problem. I like these grips. Everyone knows I like me some green G10 grips, but these are not cut for a magwell, so it doesn't look right down here. So I'm going to have to change these out with some of the grips I have laying around here. Okay, I've got 4 different options for grips for this gun. They're all from Lock Grips, L-O-K grips. So it doesn't matter which one I choose. I'm going to be choosing the same manufacturer here. So I guess this will be a plug for Lock Grips. But the first ones I got here are these orange ones. Now, anyone that knows me knows orange is my favorite color, so of course I like that. That looks very cool, but I think the orange might look good on either a little bit more blacker gun, this one's actually kind of a dark gray, or a silver gun. I still think they look good, but I just don't think they look perfect on this gun. Now, the next ones I have here are actually my logo. They're my logo on a black grip with a yellow liner, so it's got a little yellow outliner all the way around it there. Now, I like these. These are very cool. This is actually inlaid. It's not painted on or anything like that. This is a very well-made grip. I only have one little problem with it. Because the grip is darker and the logo is a brighter color, this is a shadow logo. You know, the parts that are drawn are shadow. So it actually kind of makes it look like it's a negative of my logo, but it's still pretty cool looking. I actually like these on there. Seeing them on there, it actually looks better than I thought. Wasn't sure about the black, red, and yellow combo, but that actually looks pretty sharp. That might be in the running. Okay, my next option, of course, are Punishers. Now, these are just a very plain Punisher grip. They're a solid black grip here with a raised 3-dimensional Punisher symbol on them. Those look very subtle on this gun. They look very nice, and they're actually just slightly lighter gray than the gun. So, really like the looks of that. Like I said, it's very subtle. It goes with the gun very well. I like the little accents there, and not having any color on the grip kind of brings out these little silver accents on the gun. So I like these. These are definitely in the running. And my final option are just a little bit different. They're the Punisher grips also, but they have an actual white or ivory Punisher head on them. And those look super cool on this. This actually looks like a gun the Punisher would carry. I really like it. Looks really good. My only problem is, if this was gray, I think it would look better on here with these silver accents. With it being white, it's a little bit off. On the two-tone gun I usually have it on, I think it looks better. If I put these on this gun, I'd have to put those solid black ones on my two-tone gun, and I think this just looks better on the two-tone gun. So I think I'm going to go with solid black Punishers. I wonder if I should put stainless screws since I have the stainless accents. Okay, I got them on there now with the grips and everything. So, like the way the gun is looking. So now it's time for me to tell you why I actually prefer the AMBI-SAFETYs. There's 3 reasons I like the AMBI-SAFETYs, especially the low profile ones. The number 1 reason I like an AMBI-SAFETY on 1911 is it just, to me, looks better. It's just aesthetics. I'm not afraid to say that. I like the way it looks better. It looks more finished. So I like them for that reason. Reason number 2 is because if I look down at my holster, it's easy to see if the safety is on without taking my gun out of the holster. I can also just reach down and feel, even if this is inside the waistband, tie up against my body, if it has the weak side safety here, the AMBI-SAFETY, I can just reach down, feel with my finger and go, yep, the safety's on. So I like that a lot. But the main reason that I think all 1911s should have an AMBI-SAFETY is since it's meant to be carried cocked and locked, you have to be able to remove that safety no matter how you draw the gun. And if something happens to you, that if you're injured, your right arm is no longer useful to you, or it's pinned or whatever, and you have to draw your gun with your left hand, you need to be able to take that safety off. If you have to draw with your left hand and shoot, getting that safety off is not going to be that easy with your left hand. But if you have the AMBI-SAFETY, it's as easy as pie, so you can go on and get into the fight. So that's the main reason that I prefer AMBI-SAFETYs over just strong side safeties. And it's not something I just think is personal preference. I think if you carry a 1911, it should definitely have an AMBI side safety.